Welcome to the 22nd chapter of the book of Leviticus, the holy and the profane. It begins as usual in most of these chapters. I guess that is how they divided them when whoever did the divisions of the developed the classification of the chapters hundreds of years ago or more. And it begins again, and the Lord, Kyrios, spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to Aaron and to his sons," again in the imperative, speak to them as he was at Mount Sinai receiving the law, and let them take heed of the holy things. I had concerning, but that's not really good for this preposition. Of is fine, so I'm going to change it in the next edition. Let them take heed of the holy things. Again, the agion is number 39, holy, an adjective, but if it stands with the article, then it's a substantive. Acts as a noun, the holy things of the sons of Israel. And they shall not profane my holy name. Now, exactly how they would profane the holy name by not doing these things right, it's sort of, if it wouldn't be a figure of speech if God is saying it, but the profanation of who he is basically what this is saying. His holy name, it stands for the one who is, O'on. Now, some people would think it was Yahweh, Jehovah, from the Hebrew tetragrammaton, the four Hebrew letters, which is turned into Kyrios in the New Testament for the Lord, and it was also translated Kyrios by the translators of the Old Testament. That is the tetragrammaton, the four letters. Now, it also mentions in other places, he said his name was the one who is, O'on. And so the one who is basically, that there's nothing more than that. I mean, that gets down to the nitty gritty. You're basically who you are, and what you are is what he is. And to change the things of God to what suit man's purposes, as a lot of times they do, especially or even by accident, by these priests not following the things of God and what he wants, is a sin against God. You're missing the mark as a sin. You're not doing the right thing or the right action as he has set it up, as much as they sanctify to me. And so this is what he's talking about, profaning it by not doing the correct sanctifying, making separate themselves and the things that are going to be dealt with as we go through this chapter. I am the Lord. Ego Kyrios. This is who he is. Say to them in the imperative, unto your genias, your generations, it's a transliteration, you can see the genia, genias, unto your generations, every anthropos, man, whoever should come forward from all of your seed, that would be of the Aaronic priesthood, Levites possibly even, to the holy things, as much as indeed the sons of Israel should sanctify to the Lord, set aside for the Lord to go to the temple or the tabernacle, whichever was there. Then it says, if whoever should come forward to the Lord and his uncleanness is upon him, if the person is not clean, he has done something that was Levitically unclean, the things that God sets up here in this whole book of Leviticus, then they shall utterly destroy that soul from me. I am the Lord. And Aaron's two sons were killed, alien fire. So then the people are to utterly destroy the person that doesn't do the things right. Of course, they didn't do the things right, and they got worse and worse till they put in idols in the temple and so forth as we get later into the Kings. But originally it was set out in a perfect way, which we are seeing here. This is the way it's supposed to be done. Not that it was, but this is the way it's supposed to be done. And a man, anthropos, from out of the seed of Aaron, the priest, the Aaronic priesthood. And this one is leprous or having gonorrhea. Lepra, you can add these two words to your English derivatives book. Lepra and leprous, and gonorrheis, a flowing of the sex organs, a male sex organ, the gonu, and the res, flowing. Now, it's not necessarily gonorrhea. I have a gonorrhea. I didn't know what else you could put down. I didn't want to say flowing from a person's genitals because that's not, you have to find one word, and I don't know a word better than gonorrhea. Gonorrhea is not necessarily a sexually transmitted disease, although it is. But the person can have some type of a flow, a male basically here, because you were talking about priests, maybe, and there wouldn't be anything that would be contagious, but it would still, he would be unclean. And shall not eat of the holy things, and until whenever he should be cleansed. So now he could be cleansed from the leprous or this gonorrhea, this flow. And the one I put underlined because they should be part of the O, the Article 3588, the one touching any uncleanness of a soul of a man in whomever should come forth from out of his marriage bed of semen, or whoever should touch any unclean reptile which should defile him, or come upon a man in which he shall defile him according to any of his uncleanness, the soul whoever should touch them will be unclean, that's the priest, until evening. So he'll be unclean, and he's not to go to the temple as far as in the service of the tabernacle or the tent. He shall not eat from the holy things, if he should not have bathed his body in water. So he is to wait until evening and bathe his body in water. And when the sun should go down, then he will be clean, and then he shall eat from the holy things, for it is his bread. It's how he lives. But he has to wait until evening, sun goes down, take a bath, then he'll be clean. Decaying flesh, and that taken by wild beasts, carrion, I guess you would call it. He shall not eat to be defiled by it. I am the Lord. Again, ego Kyrios. And this is who he is. I am Kyrios, the Lord. Now, many Jews, of course, they want to call him Yahweh or Jehovah because they have the Hebrew. But in the New Testament, Jesus is called Kyrios. In the Old Testament, it's called Kyrios, and this word was used by the rabbis way before Christ was born. So when they come to me and try to use the word Yahweh or Jehovah, I don't go along with it, and I tell them what's Kyrios, because this is what Jesus was called, the Kyrios in Greek. And somebody sent me an interesting book. It's called Hebrew is Greek, where this Jewish gentleman, I don't have his name. If I find it, I'll remember and I'll bring it up in the next seminar. But he wrote a book and shows how the whole Greek alphabet, the whole Greek Hebrew alphabet and language and everything comes from the Greek. I always sort of thought that, and then this man brings out 300 or 400 page proof of it, and the possibilities of these shepherds coming out of Mesopotamia and then going into Egypt, coming up and developing the Hebrew language and the Hebrew script, basically. Maybe they had spoken word, but to come up with the written word is something that it's mathematically precise. Greek is, and so is Hebrew pretty much. But Hebrew is not anywhere near as encompassing as the Greek. It doesn't have vowels in it. So the development, I believe, of the Greek into the Hebrew was the Greek was developed by a sophisticated system, probably in some type of a school where they set down the laws of what a noun, a pronoun, and all these amazing things. You can go into our study guide and see the structure of the Greek alphabet, or the written Greek, the grammar. And I don't see how the shepherds could have developed it on their own. They didn't have any schools, but the Greeks did, so I could see where they could pick it up, especially from the Phoenicians who were over in Crete and Cyprus and so forth. And then it continues, and the priests, they shall guard my injunctions, and they should not take sin on account of them, and should die because of them. They have to do it right. If they shall profane them, ego Kyrios, the one sanctifying them. I'm the one setting it up, he's saying. I'm the one setting them apart to do these things. They got to do it right. And all of another race shall not eat the holy things. Somebody that's not a Jew, allogenes. A sojourner with a priest or a hireling shall not eat the holy things. So if somebody was just going along with them, he couldn't eat of the holy things. And I went to the island of Patmos and to the monastery of St. John the Theologian, and I was invited for lunch, and I went in there with all the brothers and had everything that they had. And the abbot, I guess he was considered a priest, allowed me, and I ate with everybody else. But with the Jews here, I would think that if I would have went there, not being not even being a Jew, I was no way they would even have anything to do with me. And if I was a Jew, or if I was somebody, I was hired to do some work by the Jewish priests, then I wouldn't be able to eat any of the holy things from that he would be eating. I'd have to have separate food. But it says, and if a priest should acquire a soul, that is a slave by him, with silver, he, that is that slave, shall eat of his bread, the priest's bread, and his native-born servants, the priest's native-born servants, not the slave, but the priest's native-born servants, even these shall eat of his bread. So if they were born in his slavery to him or servitude, then they can eat. A daughter of a man, a priest, if she should become the wife of a man of another race, she shall not eat of the first fruits of the holy things. If she goes to her father's house, apparently she couldn't eat any of these foods. And the daughter of a priest, if she becomes a widow, or being cast out, divorced, and seed might not be to her, no children, and she shall return unto the house of her father, as in her youth, from the breads of her father she shall eat. So if she comes back, she can eat it if she falls into these requirements. And all of another race shall not eat of them. And a man, whoever should eat holy things according to ignorance, if you ate it and you didn't know it was set aside for the priest, then he shall add his fifth part unto it, apparently giving it back, and add to it, and shall give to the priest the holy thing. And they shall not profane the holy things of the sons of God, which they offer to the Lord, that they shall bring upon themselves lawlessness of the trespass in their eating their holy things. Priests have to do it all right, eat the right foods, the right ways, and be clean. For ego Kyrios, the one sanctifying them, setting them apart. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, again, now we're a little different here, Speak to Aaron and to his sons and to all the congregations of the sons of Israel. And the imperative, speak to them, and you shall say to them, an anthropos, a man from the sons of Israel, or of the foreigners lying near them among Israel, whoever should offer his gifts, the Dora is a name of a woman, it means gift, and it's the Korban offering in Hebrew, according to every acknowledgement offering of theirs, or according to every choice offering of theirs, all these offerings, as much as they should offer to the Lord for a whole burnt offering, says sacrifice the animal to burn it. What is acceptable unto you is an unblemished male from out of the herds, and from out of the sheep, and from out of the goats. Unblemished. It has to be unblemished. And all, as many as you have with a blemish among them, you shall not bring to the Lord, for it shall not be accepted for you. And a man, whoever should offer a sacrifice of deliverance offering, priest, to the Lord while setting apart a vow, well, now this could be another person who brings it in, or according to a choice offering, or in your holiday feasts, from out of the herds, or from out of the sheep, it shall be unblemished. For acceptance, there shall not be any blemish upon it. It has to be perfect animal. Blind, or broken, or with the tongue cut out, or troubled with warts, or chronic mange, or having scabs, they shall not bring these to the Lord. And for a yield offering you shall not give of them upon the altar to the Lord. And a calf or a sheep with mutilated ears, or tailless, you shall make them for slaughter to yourself, but for your vow it shall not be taken. Now, crushed testicles are being squeezed out, or emasculated or drawn away. You shall not bring them to the Lord. Now, I don't think he's talking about the actual organs here, but he's talking about the animals that have that happen to them. Even upon your land you shall not offer them. And from out of the hand of a son of another race you shall not offer the gifts of your God of all these things, for there is corruption in them, a blemish in them. These shall not be received to you. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, now I went into the New Testament and I went to the unblemished, up here where it was at the beginning, right here, 299, Amamon. And I found that in these places in the New Testament, first was for the only people that it mentions as far as specific people, group, was the 144,000 from the 12 tribes in the book of Revelation 14:5. It says, and in their mouth was not found a lie, for they are unblemished. And then us, the Christians, and he chose us in him before the founding of the world, for us to be holy and unblemished before him in love. So we need to have love, and it goes into that in the 13th chapter of the first book of Corinthians. Without that, we're doing it wrong. We have to be like the priest, do it right. That would be profane if we don't have love. And then also in Colossians 1:22, but now he reconciled in the body of his flesh through death to present you, that's us, holy and unblemished and without reproach before him or himself or God. So Jesus is going to present us holy, separated, and unblemished. Now, we'll find out how that happens. But in Ephesians 5:27, it says again that he should present it to himself, the honorable assembly, not having stain or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and unblemished. So not only us, but also the assembly. Now, Christ is the one that brings us and makes us unblemished. It says, how much more the blood of the Christ, who through eternal Spirit offered himself unblemished to God. So Jesus has offered himself unblemished, but by the esteemed blood as of a lamb unblemished and spotless of Christ. So Christ was the same as what was to be brought for the sacrifice where we're at in Leviticus. And then in Jude 1:24, but to him being able to keep them steady and to stand them in front of his glory, unblemished, in exaltation. This is where we're going to be, Jude 1:24. He is able to stand us in front of his glory, unblemished. We won't have a blemish. We have blemishes now. We're humans, and we're sinful beings, and we're dirty. We have this body. We've done all kinds of horrible things. The body itself is blemished. All the fluids and the things that come out of the body, the fluxes and the flows and the dirty hair, and every part of our body is has some thing that needs to be washed, from our toes, the nails, to our top of our head, to our hair, the BO, brushing our teeth, on and on, everything. We're just this gigantic, corrupted flesh. And we are alive, but we could not stand in front of God in the state that we are now. God He can't. He won't even accept those animals. So what does he do? He sends his son, Jesus Christ. And Jesus dies and rises up from the dead, sheds the blood, and is unblemished, and becomes our deliverer. A calf or a sheep or a goat, whenever it is born, then it shall be 7 days under its mother. So now it changes a little bit here, and it's interesting how a sheep or a goat that's underneath its mother 7 days. Now, this might not occur in any other culture except for this one here, where God is putting it. It's almost just like a respect for what God has. A respect for the animals. If you have to put this for a respect of not taking the calf away from its mother, because not feel sorry, but you know that it should be there with the right thing, to be with its mother, and the mother wants the calf to be with it. So for 7 days, then this is the way it's to be. But on the 8th day and beyond, it shall be accepted for gift offerings. So this respect to be realized in the law, it's very, to me, it's very amazing, which I doubt any other laws have anything like that. I may be wrong there, but I don't know of any. For a yield offering to the Lord. And then again, a calf and a sheep, her and her offspring, I have it, her and her offspring, because this is the feminine, you shall not slay in 1 day. So bovine family, sheep family, the mother and the you can't kill them both. Again, a respect that's unusual, that you cannot slay them together in 1 day. And if you should sacrifice a sacrifice vow of joyfulness to the Lord, you shall sacrifice it acceptable to you, the right way. In that day it shall be eaten. So you have to sacrifice it and eat it. You shall not leave of the meats until the morning. Ego Kyrios, I am the Lord. And you shall keep my commandments, and you shall observe them. Ego Kyrios. Again, we need to do those things. And you shall not profane my holy name by doing things wrong. And I shall, and this is for the Aaronic priesthood more, of course, we are not to profane the name of Jesus Christ, but it's talking, I believe, by profanation of doing things wrong by the priesthood. And I shall be sanctified in the midst of the sons of Israel. I am the Lord, the one sanctifying you, the one leading you from out of the land of Egypt, so as to be your God. Ego Kyrios. Today, giant profanation of everything that God would have those people to do. There is no priesthood, no sacrifices. They're not doing anything. so they couldn't possibly doing. They're just a giant profanation. It's really sad, but it is what it is, and I believe Israel is being prepared for the beast, which will come and destroy mankind, basically most of mankind. I go through that in the book of Revelation. Chapter 23 will go into times and seasons, the holidays of the Lord, and find out what those holidays are. Hope you'll join us in chapter 23. Until then, God bless.